Democrats in Congress are taking aim at the major players on cable news, on the conservative side of cable news, but they're not targeting directly. They're not going to Fox News with their questions. They're not going to Newsmax. They're not going to OANN with their questions. They're going to the cable providers. So they sent letters. This is from Congresswoman Eshoo. She is a member of the House Energy and Commerce Committee that oversees cable and television and all of those, the FCC kind of issues. And Congressman Jerry McNerney, they actually sent 7 questions they want answered from these CEOs. And the final question is this: are you planning to continue carrying Fox News, Newsmax, and OANN on your platform, both now and beyond any contract renewal date? If so, why?
The government does not get to be the arbiter of what is fact and what is disinformation, and the government cannot be in the business of content decisions. Those decisions are made by businesses at the direction of people, of consumers who make their own choices about what information to take in. But you're right, Jordan. I see this as the left trying to use an opportunity where the FCC is in a little bit of limbo. I think they're going to push the cable companies. Here's the other thing I think they're doing, Jordan. I think they're trying to push President Biden into pushing the FCC in a direction that would be more favorable to this.
They have gone to all of these cable providers with 7 questions. The 7th being basically, why haven't you already canceled them, and will you once their contract is up? But they have these other questions. They want responses by March 8th, not very far away. This is not going to get a lot of coverage, obviously, on CNN and MSNBC, because they would love for these networks to be out of the way and not have to compete with. But this is, again, when you go through the questions alone, the fact that they are trying to infringe on the business, which is what these are, business and economic relationships of these cable providers and these television networks.
There's the First Amendment, and there's the free exercise of business and the right to contract. And this is not anything that the Congress of the United States should be interfering in.
The acting chairman of the FCC, Jessica Rosenworcel, she's the acting chairman. Ajit Pai recently stepped down. There's a vacancy, but she's the acting chairman. Jordan, previously, when leftist organizations have come under some fire for some of the examples that you put out, she said this. She said, I don't think that the government should be in the business of substituting its judgment for programming licensees. History won't be kind to silence. Well, Jordan, guess who's silent now? Guess who hasn't condemned this letter? The 2 Republican-appointed commissioners have condemned it. The acting chairman, Jessica Rosenworcel, who said history won't be kind to silence when the tables were turned. Jordan, she hasn't said a word.
Question number 3. Andy, this one is really interesting. How many of your subscribers tuned in to Fox News, Newsmax, OANN, and this is, again, the letter to AT&T, but it went to all of them, for each of the 4 weeks preceding the November 3rd elections and the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol? Please specify the number of subscribers that tuned in to each channel. That is chilling.
That tells it all in a nutshell. I want the numbers. I want the lists. I want the numbers of people who tuned in to these conservative stations. I want to know how many people watch them. I want to be able to gauge and to follow that and to pursue that and to see exactly how many people from the conservative side looked at those kinds of programs and followed those kinds of programs. That should scare us to death. Those are the kinds of Schindler's Lists that we read about in Nazi Germany.
The federal government, by very definition of the way we set up our country, is not entitled to engage in that kind of viewpoint filtering. We're rooted in a system where, ideas that I viscerally disagree with, ideas that you strongly disagree with, those are free to be put out in the public sphere, and you have to compete in the marketplace of ideas.
They're simply targeting the content-based speech of traditionalists and conservatives, and they're saying, we want to know, to these providers like AT&T, what action have you taken?
This is what the IRS did to Tea Party conservative groups. They gathered information about them, and then they targeted them to silence them.
This attempt, folks, by congressional Democrats to pressure these companies to cancel Newsmax, to cancel Fox News, to cancel OANN. Where do you think they're going to go next? Fairness doctrine to try and cancel us. Okay? This is all about taking our viewpoints off the airwaves.